Halito. I'm Chief Gary Batton, and we're here today as we've been trying to do is to educate you about what the Choctaw Nation has going on in regards to this coronavirus, this pandemic that we're dealing with. And I'm very honored today that we have Jeff Hansen, our Director of Office of Emergency Management. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. And do you mind just describing what does the Office of Emergency Management do for the Choctaw Nation?
So I think the big overview of what we do is our role is to coordinate and integrate all of the different aspects of an emergency response. So we bring together groups from all over the nation, from people outside of the nation. We just bring all those people together, work on the resources, make sure that our response efforts are coordinated and that we're not duplicating effort or anything that would slow down the response and lead to recovery.
And so, but you also help with like our declaration
Yes,
for
sir.
disaster areas and things like that as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So we manage a lot of the paperwork from the FEMA disaster declaration side. So we handle all of the project worksheets, which is basically where we're capturing everything that's happening. We're documenting all of our expenditures and all of the activities that we've done and submitting that to FEMA and managing that process for all of our disaster declarations.
And of course, all of that goes to offset some of our
Yes,
tribal dollars, which ultimately then helps us continue delivery services to our tribal members in our community. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate that very much. And so one of the questions that's been asked is I've seen on TV about hospitals being overwhelmed with patients. Will this happen in our area as well?
Well, there's no guarantee that it will or will not happen, but right now we're in a good position. So all of the hospitals that in the state of Oklahoma have been asked to increase their bed capacity by 40%, and we're taking those same measures at our hospital. We have worked on a separate site to increase some bed capacity there. We've looked at ways that we can increase bed capacity at the actual hospital, but then on top of that, we're also working with other agencies like the Army Corps of Engineers to look at different sites that we can set up as alternate care facilities. So we're partnering with as many people as we can to make sure that we're meeting that need.
And so definitely we're looking at our area to make sure that we have enough
Yes, sir.
Beds to meet the needs, but also we're coordinating that with the rest of the state of Oklahoma. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, we've all heard about or experienced shortages of important supplies. How's the supply chain holding up? So everybody's asking about, well, what about, do we have enough tests? Do we have enough? We hear this term PPE or protective equipment. Do we have enough of that in stock for us?
Yes, sir. The Choctaw Nation, we're tracking this on a daily basis, looking at all of the equipment that we have as far as personal protective equipment, so gloves, mask, hand sanitizer, test, and everything. So we're in a good position right now within the Choctaw Nation. We have a lot of supplies, and it doesn't seem like that we're running into any major issues with the supply chain. Obviously, there are some shortages across the U.S., but the supply chain is moving, and there are companies that have been picking up the slack and producing items that are not in their normal function, and so they're picking up that slack, and so the supply chain is working really well. People are coming together and making sure that that goes on. You know, things like the country markets and our travel plazas, they're getting shipments daily. And in fact, if individuals want to follow their Facebook pages, they're updating what they're receiving so that you know when they get shipments in and what to be looking for. We've left our travel plazas open so that we have fuel and we get to be able to keep that and support that supply chain. Obviously, trucks have to continue up and down the road, and those employees on the forefront right there are critical to what we're doing.
One of the things I always hear people ask is just how can I help during this situation? I always say it's great to have our people that has that Choctaw spirit. They want to help, but they know they need to stay home too. So just how do they help out during this time?
So you're absolutely right, Chief. The Choctaw people are always the ones that want to step up, and that just it warms my heart every time we have a disaster, because then you see the true nature of people and how much they want to help. But first and foremost with this incident, the biggest thing that you can do is stay home. Stay home as much as you can. Follow that CDC guidance and keep your social distancing and keep yourself safe. But when you're doing that, there's other ways that you can help. You can call and check on your family. I FaceTime with my mother almost daily. So, those are some of the things that you can do to just check on family, check on your neighbors, and still maintaining that social distance. A couple other things that you can do is look at the Oklahoma MRC. The Oklahoma Medical Reserve Corps is an organization here in the state. We actually have a unit within the Choctaw Nation that we put together years ago, but it's an opportunity to volunteer. So if there is a patient surge and they need people to help, that's an organization that can step up, and those volunteers can help in that way. There is the blood drives. So obviously, when you have a lot of patients, you may need a lot of blood, and so making sure that if you're healthy, and check your blood institute to find out where the local blood drives are, and if you're healthy, go and volunteer to donate some blood. Our employees have an opportunity. We've set on the internet a section on the internet so they can go on and look for volunteer opportunities where they might be able to go out and help at the travel plazas or help at the country market, just to provide some time and some relief from the people that have been on the front lines the whole time. And it's just a good way to get out there and do your part while maintaining and following the recommendations of the CDC.
And so, Jeff, I appreciate you very much being here, what you're doing on the front line. And also I appreciate our employees that are volunteering because they are working at the travel plazas. They are helping serve meals to our elders, and it's great to see that Choctaw spirit come along. But just thank you so much for spending your time with us today and answering our questions. God bless you. I had some questions come in on Facebook, and I want to encourage everybody to continue sending in questions on Facebook. That's how we're able to hopefully respond to you so that you can gain knowledge of what's going on within the Choctaw Nation. And so one of the questions this week it comes in from Suzanne. It says, can part-time tipped employees file for unemployment? Of course, anybody has the right to file for unemployment. However, I would just encourage you to get with our Human Resources Department so that you can make sure that if you do file for unemployment, that it does not have a negative financial impact to you. Because if you want to file, we are not going to fight that, but we want to make sure that it benefits you and your family in the long run. We've received a message from Shannon that says, do we have any reason to believe we will be closed until around June? Well, this is hard to predict, but I want to assure you that our goal is to return to full operations. And I can assure you that as soon as we're able to make sure that our community is safe, our tribal members are safe, that we're able to meet the needs of our tribal members, and that we're financially stable, that we're going to return to full operations as quickly as possible. And as soon as a decision is made to open, you can look to our ChoctawNation.com or to any of our news media outlet within the Choctaw Nation. And so again, I'd just like to say thank you for sending in your questions. Make sure and continue to send those in because that's the way that we're able to inform you what's going on within the Choctaw Nation. Yako Key, and God bless.